However, when your baby gets to be about 6 months old, there is one issue about which you may want to get tough: sleep. In fact, the experts' advice on how to get a child to sleep through the night sounds so harsh that some parents say, "No way, I won't do that to my child." But the experts do have evidence to back them up.
Cameras recorded a baby who wouldn't sleep through the night. A doctor discovered mom and dad were making a common mistake. What's a parent to do?
There's nothing like a good night's sleep. And there's little more infuriating than a child who won't let you sleep, who cries all night. It's enough to make you cry. I'm not talking about babies here. Newborns don't know night from day. We expect to get up at night with newborns. But at some point this has to end, right? They say that when children are about 6 months old, they should be able to sleep through the night. They should. If they don't, there is something you can do about it. Peacefully sleeping children. That's a sight to warm any parent's heart. But what happens if you can't get them to stay asleep?
The child wakes up at 2 o'clock and sometimes stays up to 3:34.
He keeps musicians' hours.
Maybe I get 5 hours sleep, but it's totally interrupted maybe every hour or so.
You wake up in the morning and...
Exhausted parents have all kinds of ways of getting their children to sleep.
Little bourbon, drugs.
Make threats about taking away a privilege.
What do you do to get her to sleep?
We go through a little routine that involves standing at the window and saying goodnight to the cars and goodnight to the trees and goodnight to the woofies and goodnight to the cats.
What I do is I try to give him a bottle and rock him back to sleep.
Goodnight to the people and goodnight to the curtains. And
if that doesn't work, I just try to lay him down and pat his back.
I mean, what can you do?
This woman takes her son for a daily ride in the family car to get him to take a nap.
Are you going to sleep, sweetie? You see the cars? Do you see the bus?
The steady hum of the motor is one of the few things that'll put him to sleep.
What else do you see?
But today, doctors who study sleep say if you want your children to sleep through the night, patting them or rocking them or driving around in the car are not the best things you can do, because then your children will get used to having you help them go to sleep. They won't learn how to fall asleep on their own. Let me explain. Research shows that almost all children wake up several times during the night. It becomes a problem for parents only when the children cannot go back to sleep on their own. These time-lapse video recordings were made by Dr. Tom Anders of Brown University. They're jerky because they're 18 times normal speed. Anders found that many children need their parents to help them get to sleep. 6-month-old Derek, for example, needs a pacifier and a back rub before he'll go to sleep. Then at 4 in the morning, he wakes and immediately starts crying. See the pacifier? It's fallen out of his mouth. That's one of the problems with pacifiers at night. Mom comes in, puts the pacifier back in, and rubs his back some more until he falls asleep again. But 7-month-old Evan is different. When he's put to bed, he cries for a moment, but then he plays with his blanket and thumb and teddy bear, and he's asleep in just 5 minutes. When he wakes again in the middle of the night, he seems perfectly happy to look around in his crib, chew on his blanket for a while, and then go back to sleep on his own, never disturbing Mom and Dad. Dr. Anders calls Evan a self-soother. He found more than half the kids that age fall in that category. Anders says that only when a child can soothe himself to sleep will his parents get a full night's sleep. Meet the Lutkovich family of Medford, Massachusetts.
Our nights were completely disastrous. Michael would wake up anywhere from 3 to 6 times during the night, every night, crying for a bottle, crying to go in our bed. I kept making excuses for him, you know. Oh, he's cutting teeth, and, you know. We had 2 other kids. I couldn't give them time during the day. I was just so nervous, yelling at them for no reason.
We really had to do something about it.
What Lynn and Russ did was to go to see this man, Dr. Richard Ferber. He's the head of the Sleep Disorders Clinic at Boston's Children's Hospital, and author of this book on sleep problems. When we were researching this story, nearly everyone we spoke to said, "Children's sleep problems? Talk to Ferber." So we did. Parents are getting a lot of misinformation.
That's right. Parents are told you just have to wait till the child outgrows the problem. And this is totally false. By identifying the causes that the child isn't sleeping and making a few corrections, you can almost always help your child to sleep better, and usually within a week or two.
Even Michael? Well, Dr. Ferber felt his night wakings were being caused by the way his parents were getting him to go to sleep. Russ and Lynn had a routine. Every night they'd play Lionel Richie music and take turns rocking Michael. It works like a charm. Many songs later, Michael would be sound asleep, and they'd put him in his crib. However, a few hours later, he'd be awake and screaming. They'd have to take him out of the crib and comfort him until he fell asleep again. The Lutkoviches allowed us to stay with them in their house all night long for several nights, so we could record whether Dr. Ferber's treatment would work.
Why don't we go over our plans for tonight to make sure everybody understands?
Dr. Ferber came to the Lutkoviches' house to teach them how to get Michael to fall asleep without help from them or Lionel Richie.
It's really the only way he knows how to fall asleep is being held like that with the bottle.
To change that, Dr. Ferber says next time Michael cries at night, don't rush in to comfort him.
When he wakes up, you're not going to be there and he's not going to have the bottle.
Instead, wait.
We'll start off by keeping it a real short time, like 3 minutes.
Then they can comfort him, but they can't pick him up. And if he's still crying...
And then why don't we have you wait 5 minutes, and then have you go in every 10 minutes until one of the times that you're out of the room, he'll start to settle and go back to sleep.
On his own. Dr. Ferber set up a research camera to record Michael's progress. On this first night, Michael's mom and dad get him to sleep the usual way. After Russ and Lynn went to bed, all was quiet until 2 in the morning. As Dr. Ferber had instructed, Lynn waited 3 minutes before coming in. A long 3 minutes. Normally in this situation, Lynn would have picked Michael up, given him a bottle, and taken him to bed with them. Bad move, says Dr. Ferber.
When your child wakes at night and seems hungry and takes a bottle eagerly and goes back to sleep, and then you say, well, therefore, he was hungry, so I did the right thing.
Seems right.
And well, you're right, but you're wrong. By giving him the feedings during the night, you're teaching him to become hungry in the night. So you just reinforce this.
Tonight, Michael gets no bottle, and after reassuring him, Lynn leaves him again. He's not used to this. A reminder, Dr. Ferber says the point is not to just let him cry all night.
The way we do it is not to simply abandon the child at night. We would have the parents go back in to reassure the child and to reassure themselves.
So far, none of this seems to be helping. This is tough on Mom and on Michael. Now she has to wait 5 minutes. You'd think he'd get tired of doing this, but he doesn't. He never lies down. It's just unrelenting screaming. He tries calling for Dad. 5 minutes is up. Russ and Lynn had agreed that only one parent would handle Michael each night. That way at least one of them would be fresh in the morning. That was the idea. This time, Lynn waited 10 minutes, watching the clock. After about an hour of this, Michael finally does fall asleep.
That wasn't so bad, was it?
Now I can't sleep.
3 hours later, it's 6:20 in the morning. Michael's up for the day. Tired, but apparently none the worse for wear. I'm not sure I can say the same thing about Mom. The second night,
You gonna go in your crib and go sleep now? Huh? Oh, yes you are.
this night, Dad does the tucking in. This is the first time Michael gets put to bed while awake.
No. No. You gotta go to sleep. You gotta go to sleep. Night, night.
No improvement so far. This time, Dad watches the clock.
I'll give him one more minute.
Michael's older sisters give their opinions.
Give him 2.
Give him 2.
3.
When Russ does go in, he succeeds in getting Michael to calm down. But as soon as he walks out,
Michael.
Give him 25 minutes. 184 minutes.
Michael's sisters get a kick out of this. They watch Michael on Dr. Ferber's TV set.
Michael, 9 more.
Keep your voices down.
This time when Russ goes in, he gets Michael to hug his blanket and settle down again.
Good boy. Here's your blanket.
For the night, they waited again, and only 9 minutes later,
He's quiet. He went to sleep. All by himself.
We didn't even get into a 15-minute.
So what?
this was progress, but the peace didn't last. Michael was up from 1:30 to 3 in the morning. We'll spare you the details. The next day, they met with Dr. Ferber, and for the first time, watched the tape.
You can tell that that's the first night.
He's starting to do a few things that are under his control. There he's picking up his blanket. He's starting to see what he can do by himself. And that's exactly what we want him to learn.
By the second night, Michael was already learning.
Look what he's doing there. He's starting to arrange his crib. He's bringing over his animals, putting them down, starting to get the crib set up for himself.
Funny.
He lies down, covers himself with his blanket, right? And off he goes.
Lie down for a while and I'll come
The third night.
Okay.
It doesn't start out very well, but just 2 minutes later, he's quiet. Russ thinks something is wrong.
Why don't you go check him?
Why?
How can you go to
No, I'm
sleep?
afraid I'll disturb him and I'll wake him up.
You're not going to disturb him. Just go in and take a look.
No,
He only cried for a few minutes.
2 minutes.
That's amazing. It's only the third night.
At 3 in the morning, Michael did wake up. He picked up his blanket, cried a little bit, and then went back to sleep on his own. His parents didn't have to go into his room all night. Our camera crew even got some sleep. And Michael slept as well the next night and the nights after that.
Should have did this a long time ago.
I know it.
Dr. Ferber says this treatment works this well and this fast for most children. Of course, even getting your children into their bedroom can be a battle. To help make that easier, here are 3 tips from the experts. First, consistency is important. They say, try to make bedtime the same time each night. Second, if you have trouble getting your toddlers to sleep as early as you want, consider making nap time earlier. If they're napping between 4 and 6 o'clock, don't expect them to be eager to go to bed again at 8. However, cutting a nap out altogether, the experts say, is not a good idea if your child is younger than 3. That can just make them cranky and more difficult. Finally, a bedtime routine is important. Bedtime can be scary for children. They have to separate from their parents and go into a dark room. One of the worst things you can do is to suddenly put your child into bed and say good night. The experts say there should be a period of transition, a bedtime ritual. It can be most anything. An evening bath, singing, playing quietly, or just talking about the day's events. As long as it's roughly the same ritual every night.
There's a nightmare in my closet?
No one claims these ideas work all the time, but they should help. And then we can get some sleep. We'll need it to get ready for year 2.